Hello everyone, we are back at it again with Borderlands 4 and Amon. The last session we had changed our build up somewhat to the Onslaughter because the drones, or at least the hammer drone, kind of ruined that build for us. Solely because hammer drones have a 30-second cooldown with a duration of only 25 seconds. And while you could get the duration up and the cooldown down a little bit, it's not enough to get more than 2 at most for a few seconds. So we decided to hop off that build because there's really not a whole lot of synergy between drones and the rest of his kit. For instance, a lot of the damage that I was doing on Scourge, or Scourge, Cybernetics, that's Scourge, on Cybernetics Crucible was actually the detonations. So right here, the detonation says 519 per prime stack. And the only time we were priming things was if we were throwing axes. And I gotta say, the game flow was fantabular with with the forge axes. I could just throw forge axe melee and shoot someone else, or shoot it if it didn't die, and it felt really nice. Just that. So I've been thinking back on it. We might actually stop with the onslaughter just because it kind of takes over. Because if you do the melee, it's like it takes a while to rocket punch. So I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. We will see how it goes from there. But yeah, we're gonna go back to. Also, I did a little researching. Not a whole lot about overshields, and apparently no one and their mother in this game knows how it works. Supposedly, it's supposed to scale off of your shield. So like maybe like the maximum for your overshield is the same as your shield. So my shield is 2100 right now, but that is not the case. Some people have also said that right now it seems to be scaling off of your off of your health, which does make sense because we have a max of like 500 or 600 or something like that, which would make sense if it scales off our health, because if it's twice our health, we also get where's it at? Maximum overshield capacity of 45% right here. But it doesn't help that much. So I'm not really sure. It kind of means that you want to scale health if you want overshield. Right? And that makes more sense with Brimming Vigor. I just don't understand. Which does mean, however, that wait, we did get rewards from last time for the side quest, I think. Right? We might keep that. I'll have to look at it in a second. I'm on a tangent here. We might actually use Watts for dinner then. Solely because if we get off of Onslaughter, we won't have Overshield. Because that's our only source for Overshield at this point in time. And while the inner shield is active, they have enemies have a 12% chance to drop an overshield. Doesn't say how much though. Yeah, it doesn't say how much. And while the overshield is active, grants 25% shock damage. We're not really doing shock damage that much though. If we get a better one, like later on, we might use it. But right now, I don't think it's that worth it, because Fortis Laminate is just fantastic. Trash. Let's check this torque. It is much better than the one we have. However, it is only deals 75 damage a second though. I wonder how long that lasts. Anyways, we're taking it. Alright. So I think what we're gonna do is we're going to... Nice. It's got 60 rounds. Is it just a flamethrower? Oh. Oh, it's just a laser beam. Okay. They should have told me. Not a flame blast. Alright, we're respecting all our skills. This is gonna happen quite a bit during our playthrough, because I like making builds or trying things out, and I don't want to look up builds that other people have done because it ruins the ruins a lot of the fun for me if I constantly, because a lot of the fun is figuring out things that work, and if I look up how other people have done it or already figured out what stuff works, then what's the point, right? Experimentation is the name of the game for me. All right, so we're gonna be going into Crucible. I think I did like the Onslaughter. It felt really nice. It felt really tanky. The Crucible felt really like the flow was really good. Like throw axe, punch, blow up, shoot something, throw axe, punch, blow up. It's like a really good flow. I want to see, what does this look like? So if I activate, well, I have to wait. Okay, so this is the Forge skill, and it, I think is what it does is it empowers any projectiles that go through it. It absorbs any project, so it's a shield. It's a one-way shield because I can shoot stuff through it. Increase damage and projectile speed. Okay. And it lasts 15 seconds. But I want to see.
My shield is my weapon.
Okay, so if I press the button again, it uses the whips. But if I'm using the whip, then I can't. Okay. Alright, this could be interesting. I keep pressing escape because I want to go to the menu. Okay, let's check this out. I don't think we're going to be using this just because if we use our ability while the shield is up, so if we use the whip, we aren't blocking. Now, I wonder if there's an augment or a capstone in here that might change something. They consume vengeance, which they already do, deal more damage. I'm not really looking for more damage from that. Taunts enemies, it doesn't really matter because I'm the only one playing, so the taunt really doesn't help me. Molten Rebuke. Okay, so this is the interesting part because it's ordnance damage, elemental damage, and action skill damage. So scale off all three of those. Interesting. Enemies inside it, enter or leave. Okay. Partially, yeah. That's if I wanted to constantly have it up as long as I had enemies around me, I could do that. That'd be kind of cool, but then we'd never be out of the shield. Which, I don't know, it feels weird to me. Constantly have it up. I mean, it makes sense if I want to always have the shield, but the shield goes away, or it only absorbs so much, right? Or, yeah, whenever the vengeance meter is filled. But I can use vengeance by using the lashes, so I can absorb more damage. Okay, I could see how Eternal Winter could be good there. Now, Glacial Rupture. 2 hits to near enemies before slamming into the ground. So I no longer would have the fire wall. I'm not sure this is worth the change. Maybe. Forge Wave is now Storm Lance. So I throw a spear instead of the whip. Okay. Enemies damaged by Forge Spear are primed. How fast is that though? Can I spam it? I feel like it's not going to be spammable because 1 is a spear and 2 I'm going to have to charge up the attack to throw it, right? That's how most games do it. If you're throwing a spear, usually it takes a second to like pull all the way back and throw. But none to nearby enemies. Detonations can also deal less damage. I don't care about... I don't like that. I like having a lot of detonation damage, but that detonation damage is 260. That's kind of cool. Alright. No. We're going to go back to Crucible. Until we get some items that might... Until we get some mods or something that goes along with something else, we might see anything else. But right now, I was really liking the Crucible. I wasn't liking the drones. Or at least the hammer drone was really let down for me. And these drones were really not useful at all. They were like afterthoughts for the most part. So I think what we do is, and I was kind of liking this because that's 519 per prime stack, whereas the Onslaughter was, doesn't even freaking say, does it? What was I using? I was using this, wasn't I? 100% of gun damage dealt is the detonation damage, right? However, the only way to detonate then without meleeing would be to use what be use the forged skill, which was the slam, which was kind of cool. This scales off of gun damage, so that's interesting. We might actually stick with Onslaughter just because of that, because I want to use guns, melee, or, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, WilySmile, you can't be doing that because then your build's going to be less powerful than others because you're focusing on 3 different things instead of one thing. Now the real question though is that these, I could literally just focus on melee damage or action skill damage. Melee damage could be cool though because these also scale off of melee and their forge skills, which is cool. This also does melee damage, and all of my capstones deal melee damage. Does any of them do ordnance damage? If any of them do ordnance, that would be cool. Is there any action skill that uses ordnance and melee? Like as like damage modifiers? Well, let's check. I didn't see any. So that's ordnance damage and action skill, but that's not melee. A lot of ordnance damage in the blue tree for action skills. I don't see any melee shot like melee ordnance damage would be kind of cool to crack to see. Doesn't look like that's the case though. Melee, action skill, action. Ooh, that's a good thing to consider though, because technically I have the forge skill and the augment. So if these are doing, if the forge waves are doing ordnance damage, which is interesting for one. If I can change, oh no, that does ordnance damage. That just does regular actions. That also just does ordnance. Because I was thinking if this could do melee and this could do ordnance, I could just scale up action skill damage. Scale up both of those. Also, cool thing. Where's it at? Yeah, this right here. This increases all my damage dealt, right? So if that goes up by 0.25 per stack, that would go up to what, like 1.25% at 5 stacks, right? And that's 30 stacks. That is what, like 40% damage? Something like that. Like approximately 40% damage. Increased from everything for 12 seconds. And detonations grant multiple stacks. And we're going to be popping detonations left and frickin' right. Now the question is, do they fall off individually or do they fall off altogether? Because if they fall off altogether, then I can constantly keep up max stacks. But if they fall off individually, then it's going to be bad. And I don't think Borderlands has ever done fall off individual stacks of any buff. At least I can't think of any off the top of my head. I think there's all fall off at once. So as long as I get new stacks, it should keep up the buff. So we're definitely going to use Forge Skill cooldown rate. Because that is really good. The Forge Skill. If I can increase my detonation damage, that'd be crazy. Although I can see why Force of Nature could be really good because it scales off of your gun damage dealt. And then you could also stack detonation damage on top of that, so that's double dipping. But I digress. I really like the game, like the play style of the axes. And the Onslaughter was interesting, but anytime I use the melee to rocket punch, it takes a second. It takes like a second and a half. Because I press the button, I launch to them, I hit them, I land wherever I am, I have to figure out where I am, and then hit the next person. But then all I'm doing is just rocket punching around, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. It's just that's not really the game flow I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for like a hybrid, I suppose. Which this works with. It is cool though. This is really cool. It also requires a target to dash. I don't know if we're gonna play around with. Okay. So I digress. We're gonna use the Crucible. We're definitely gonna use Axe and Stone. I think Axe and Stone is the best one for me. Although this is also cool. And this war sounds really cool. Mainly because I could just throw one axe, melee, and then a new axe spawn seeks out a nearby enemy. The question though is how good is that seeking out? Is he going to go around obstacles? If not, then it's only going to be good in open spaces. Whereas this, I could reduce action skill cooldown and ordnance cooldown. And to be fair, I wouldn't need action skill cooldown if I was using this because, you know, but I could proc on action skill uses. So I might be able to use this, just this forge drone. I think that might be a good play because then I could constantly pop axe and stone and still have some sort of damage for the small fry. Yeah, maybe. We want detonation damage though, for sure. Which is cool because we don't want tempered pyre. Although fully restores. I don't know. I can just partially restore the duration of all active force stones through that. I don't need to. Yeah. We increase both our force skill and our detonation damage, which is really good. The downside to this is though I obviously can't get 10 stacks, right? So before we were getting 10 stacks of prime. Now it's going to be a lot less because we have to throw axes in order to prime. Unless one of these. Technically, those are also forged swords. Those forged drones. Never mind. Per charge. 5 forged swords per charge. And we technically have 3. I wonder if that would be better than this. Detonation damage 195 per prime stack, though. Whereas the regular axes are 519. Technically, you'd get 5 at least if you hit all 5 forged swords, right? Maybe. This could also be really good if we're not proccing the drones. Man, I don't know what's going on. All right. Dude, I was really looking forward to, what was it, rearm? Where's it at? Right here. Deals damage with the melee attack. His current gun has its ammo part. I think we'll go through this tree too because it's got melee. And yeah, that'll help nicely. Detonate. I really like the detonate. We're gonna go all in on the detonation. I think the detonation looks really cool. When I activate my forge skill, I gain increased gun. I'm not sure about that. Because if I'm using this, it makes it hard to also use guns a lot. This could be cool. I think Gathering Storm, though, would probably be the best for me because I don't have a whole lot of else. Yeah. That's a 45% elemental damage, and all the detonations, too, also do elemental damage, right? Say? It doesn't say. Ah, I see. They only detonate when they die or are damaged by the force skill, which is this. But with this, we can detonate with melee, which is really nice. Especially if we're going to constantly pop in our ordnance, which we will. Honestly, we're constantly gonna be throwing stuff. This is like a throwing build essentially. Man, jeez. This could be really good right now. I don't think I have the. I only have 1 point though. I have 1 point. Freeze on impact. Now pass through enemy. Let's see what this is. Because let's see if this will be better. Reduce 4 hammers, frost and shock. Frost helps because it'll freeze. Shock. Shock increases damage taken. What about fire? Fire is just a dot. We could do this. Frost and shock could be needed. They're primed, and when they detonate when they die or damaged by forge skill. But I can't. Forge and hammer damage is 623 though. Forge axe is 286. So automatically this will do a lot more damage. I wonder. Does that change the detonation? No, it's still 519 for prime stack. 519 for prime stack. 519 for prime stack. I'm confused then. I'm really confused, actually. So this has a different detonation damage. Does that mean this is the only one that deals less detonation damage because it applies it so fast? I mean, that makes sense to me. That makes sense in my head. That has a cooldown. 2-second cooldown isn't that much, but it's still enough. So all I'm seeing from this is that it just changes it from fire and frost to frost and lightning. And does, like, a little over twice the amount of damage. Because it's a hammer. Yeah, they're hammers now. But this, I can detonate with the melee attack. I guess it depends on how I want to detonate. Do I want to detonate with melee or do I want to detonate with this? But if I'm detonating with this, then I don't really need the melee at all. It's hard to make a build since we've got a limited amount of points because we're leveling up. Yes! This is what we wanted. Now we can do the other stuff. Wait, who says that I need to put it in here? It's not like I do need that. But I mean, I could just as easily put it over here. Somewhere. Like, is there anything with detonations in here? Nothing in the top half. Looks like there's... Okay. 45-second cooldown on a self-detonate. I'm just fast reading. They detonate. Interesting, but it's 5-second cooldown. Again, what's with all the cooldowns, man? I really like Dragon's Breath, though. Kind of cool. Still no detonation. Whenever Amon deals melee damage. I mean, technically I'd be doing melee damage a lot, so... Oh, you. Do you have anything? Ordnance damage? Cool. Increase gun damage more full as health. For a second. Okay, so that would be good if I was going to overshield, right? Because that gives me a maximum health. Warrior's Cup sounds really good. Ricochet, overshield, and orange. Still don't see a whole lot about detonation. It looks like detonation is only in the cybernetic. Which is unfortunate. Care about spawning other things. That'd be also cool. Isn't okay? So that's a kill skill. Interesting. Doesn't they have something? Kill skill. This. No. There we go. My touch is death. Activate kill skills. But see, that wouldn't work though, because it'd be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 points just to get this. That'd be 33 points. And then you'd only have 7 to put in other trees. I guess it does make sense. That's assuming 40 is the max. Assuming 40 is the max. It might be more. I don't know. I mean, I could look it up right now, but okay, so for right now, I think this is the build. I think this is the build. Weird about this is that it only does damage twice. Like, what's the difference between just throwing 2 axes? None. 2 axes will do the same, almost the same amount of damage as double edge. That's weird. Let's see if one of these capstones might be better for it then. No more ricochets. So if we want to do the ricochet, we could go into the, what is it, blue tree? Yeah, increased ricochet damage. If we had enough skill points for that. That'd be kind of cool. For each detonation caused. But that means we'd have to throw axes at a bunch of stuff without detonating them. Yeah, up to 3 times. Masterwork would be really nice. So I'd still have to put at least 1 in this. If I wanted to increase the damage of the melee ordnance. Detonation radius. Big. That's huge actually. That's huge because we'll constantly be doing action skill damage. Words. Action skill damage. Honestly, if I don't go in on the drones at all, then this frees up the build a lot. Because then I just go 5 into blast furnace, 5 into armor of contempt, and then I don't need anything else from this tree. Or at least from this part right here. And then I could go Raging Inferno, because action skill damage has a chance to critically hit. That's huge, though. That's huge. And then I will never... Oh, my god. With reactive armor, too? Oh. Honestly, reverse explosion and Conflangerang sound amazing. Because as soon as I deal damage with the Forge skill, it creates a drone singularity, so it's a black hole. And then the Conflangerang leaves a fire trail. And causing a detonation or damaging an enemy with Conflang... Ooh, that's the real question. So does causing a detonation without the Forge skill restore Forge skill cooldown? Because if so, I could constantly be popping Forge skill and action skill with this axe. That is an interesting, very interesting. So I think right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go 5 into. That actually sounds really good if I'm crit, right? That's only gun critical hit chance. if I did the melee critical hit chance.